Explore NAR reform, real estate's evolving agency history and practice changes.
Information is what's important. That's what has value. This is interesting. Number one, according to Mr. Inman, 17 common sense ways to reform the NAR. By the way, the NAR is the National Association of Realtors. I'm going to tell you to Google it because I'm not going to explain everything that they are, but it's the association we all belong to. Adopt an association manifesto that clearly defines the purpose and vision of the organization and an action plan that every member understands and is willing to pay for. I think that's the big one, is willing to pay for, because our dues are expensive.
This is not a cheap game.
It's too cheap, but it's not cheap. It's couple grand a year for all the different dues that we pay. 2, show courage with a mea culpa. I'm not going to explain what mea culpa is. Learn your Latin. A sincere, unqualified apology to NAR members for action that damaged the industry. What happened was there was an effort back in the 1990s. We look at that like it's ancient history. But I'm going to quote. I'm not going to quote. I'm going to paraphrase a joke by Eddie Izzard. If you don't know who Eddie Izzard is,
people here.
Eddie Izzard's a hilarious British comic. And most people know him from some George Clooney, Brad Pitt movies, the Oceans 11, 12, 13. He plays the guy that like has all the gadgets. He's kind of the gadget guy. That's Eddie Izzard. But Eddie's a comedian, and he's hilarious. And he tells this joke. He's from, he's from the United Kingdom. He's very, very British. And he tells this joke about how he comes to the U.S., whatever, and he goes somewhere. People say, "Oh, this building was built 50 years ago." And then he tells, in Great Britain, he's like, where history comes from. The Westminster was built in 900, and people say 1901. No, 900. That cracks me up, because it's true. We say things like this, like it's ancient history. The 1990s were not that long ago, and we went through this modernization, and that was the period of time where the buyer's agency. In other words, this idea that buyers should be able to pick their own agent, because previous to that, it was the most common way that real estate was sold is that you had to go talk to the seller's agent. And that's the only agent that would be involved in the transaction. That was very common. And that began to change. And the idea came around that that's unfair. And there were court cases over this. It was unfair that buyers couldn't choose their own agent and didn't have a means to have agency for themselves. But then it became, how do we compensate? And the idea came in that the seller can negotiate a commission, and then the seller can elect to pay part of that commission to the buyer's agent. So the seller's agent collects all the commission, and then the seller's agent pays the buyer's agent part of that for bringing them. And that's how it became fair, right? And so it happened in the same way that it's happening now.